Let's take a look at this tool that I made to help you understand how transformations can be used for regression. In this case, we're going to take a look at trying to align our target model to our built model. So we're going to start over here and we're going to choose a model, and it's going to be linear. And we're going to want these two lines to line up perfectly. So first thing I can do is I can start to say, oh, I can shift my blue line with a horizontal shift, or I can do a vertical shift. And you might have, there's so many different strategies you could pick. You might have a lot of fun talking with classmates about why you picked a particular strategy. In this case, if the vertical shift is what is started, we could start thinking about how might we shift this to make it align better. So one of the things is a vertical shift changes the slope. And if we want to make it, a vertical dilation does the slope. So if we adjust the slope, we see here we can get that point pretty close. And how do we know? We can get a sum of squared differences displayed over here. So if I pick a poor fit model, like a quadratic model, I get a huge number for my sum of squared differences. If I pick a model that's a much closer fit, I get a much smaller measure of that error. And in this case, we can see that you might want to reduce the vertical shift there. So if I do that, our sum of squares can get really small, like to 68. But we can still see, like down here at the edges, it's not perfectly lined up. So we might want to try some dilation. Maybe we'll try a horizontal. Oh, the horizontal dilation seems to have a pretty big impact, right? And this gives you a sense for how some of these different, I don't know if anybody can do better than 60.469 for this particular model. This is feeling really good. So the way I reached this is I did a series of transformations to help me really just align the two models. And I can pick a different type of model. I could pick a quadratic. And so now we can see we've got a huge error. And if I want to try to fit that quadratic, I would pick a quadratic model. And now you can have a great conversation with a partner around what's the next step? What should I choose next? You know, for me, as I look at it, I start to think of doing a shift horizontally. So I'll take my horizontal shift and I'll just scroll that over, and that feels pretty good to me. I like that. And then I might do a vertical shift, and that feels pretty good. I've got the vertex pretty close. My sum of differences is humongous, so maybe I can get that down to make it a little bit smaller. I'll try a vertical shift here, a vertical dilation. Oh, I'm making it flatter, and that's feeling better and better and better. That's pretty good. And I could take a look at a horizontal dilation, see if I can fine tune it. And that's pretty good. That's about as good as I think I'm going to be able to get this by hand. So again, each of these classes of functions you can try to fit with. We could take a quick look at fitting a trig function. That's actually, it's one of my favorites to do. So here in this trig function, we can see that our model probably needs to be bigger. So I'll start with a vertical dilation. And I don't know if that's perfect, but that seems like it's a starting place. The next thing I might notice is that my model has many more waves in it than the target does. So that refers to my horizontal dilation. So I'll see if I can't stretch my waves out a little bit and get them a little bit closer. And you know, boy, that looks pretty close. The next step might be to do a little bit, I think my vertical dilation might be a little bit too much. Dial that back in. That's getting close. I think I'm off. I might want to do actually just a horizontal shift here. Push those waves together. That's pretty close. So if you were to think about this from a modeling perspective, that's great. And in some ways, this is a little more meaningful than it would be if I was just using Desmos to get terms for an equation. I hope you enjoy practicing with this and building your intuition around how to use functional transformations to do regression on all different kinds of functions.